Happy day! My name is Junray C. Paway, and I'm here to talk to you about Lupang Hinirang by Jose Palma, which is covered in Unit 3 of the Poetry course LCS 211, Philippine Literature, the Region, and the Nation. And here's our agenda that we're talking about this day. The first one is defining what is poetry, and the second one is Lupang Hinirang by Jose Palma, which we need to give a critic or analyze the lyric of the poem that he wrote. And the third one is background of the author. And the fourth one is summary. And the fifth one is my reflection. And the sixth one is my analysis. And the last one is Philippine flag, color, shape, and line symbolism. And I will be the presenter of this topic. And without further ado, let's get started. So, what is poetry? Poetry is literature that uses words chosen and arranged for their meaning, sounds, and rhythm to elicit a focused imaginative awareness of experience or a particular emotional response. On the other hand, both poetry and language are fashionably thought to have belonged to ritual and early agricultural societies. And poetry in particular, it has been claimed, arose at first in form of magical spells recited to ensure a good harvest. Perhaps, in some hypothetical beginning of things, it was the only way of using language. So, the poetry and language is part of literature. So, after we knew what is poetry, let's proceed now to Lupang Hinirang by Jose Palma, and let's try to analyze and critique the poem in every stanza. So, Lupang Hinirang has 5 stanza, and every stanza has 4 lines. So, let's proceed now to first stanza. The first stanza is, Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alab ang puso sa dibdib mo'y buhay. So, the second line in first stanza, which is perlas ng silanganan, it symbolizes of pearl of the Orient Sea. And ang talatang ito ay nagsasabi na ang pagmamahal sa bansang Pilipinas ay mainit sa puso ng mga Pilipino. So let's proceed now to second stanza. The second stanza is, Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig di ka magsisiil. Ito ay nagsasabi na ang napiling bansa natin ay may maraming magigiting na bayani, na hindi tayo susuko sa mga manlulusob. So let's proceed now to third stanza. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw, may dilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Nagsasabi ang talata na ito na may pinagmamalaki tayo sa lahat na atin. Pinagmamalaki natin ang ating mga bundok, dagat at kahit simoy ng hangin at kaasulan ng ating langit na tayo ay kumakanta sa kasayahan ng pagiging malaya. And let's proceed now to fourth stanza. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning, ang bituin at araw niya, kailan pa may di magdidilim. Ang talata ay nagsasabi na ang kislap ng ating watawat ay kislap ng ating tagumpay, na ang mga bituin at araw ay magpakailanmang liliwanag. Let's proceed now to the last stanza. Lupa ng araw, ng luwalhatit pagsinta. Buhay ay langit sa piling mo, aming ligaya na pag may mang-aapi, ang mamatay ng dahil sa iyo. Ang talata ay nagsasabi na tayo ay parang langit ang Pilipinas, na tayo ay handang mamatay para sa ating bansa. So, after we analyze and critique the poem of Jose Palma, which is entitled Lupang Hinirang, let's proceed now to the background of the author. Jose Palma, a well-known poet who authored the words to the Philippine national song, was born in Tondo, Manila on June 3, 1876. He was Don Hermogenes Palma and Hilaria Velasquez's youngest child. After completing his primera enseñanza in Tondo, primera enseñanza is elementary or primary education. Palma continued his studies at the Ateneo Municipal. He first began writing verses while attending Ateneo. La Cruz de Sampaguitas, one of his earlier compositions, was written in 1893. The same year he fell in love with Florentina Arellano. However, the girl's parents ended their connection because they disapproved of him. Palma kept himself occupied by reading and writing. He joined the Katipunan in 1894, but when the revolution started, he chose not to fight alongside his fellow members. He eventually enlisted in the revolutionary forces of Colonel Rosendo Simon and participated in the battles at Angeles and Bambang under Colonel Cerbellano Aquino's leadership in 1899. The year the Philippine-American War broke out. Due to his physical limitation, he frequently stayed in camps and played condiman for the soldiers to amuse them. He began working for the revolutionary newspaper, the La Independencias, which is the periodical organ of the Philippine Revolution against Spain, the Tagalog section. This gave him the opportunity to unleash his patriotic fervor and fight the Americans in a way that he was unable to do on the battlefield. During their marches away from the pursuing American forces, Palma and his newspaper colleagues frequently amused themselves with a song and poems while resting in camps or other locations. The poem Filipinas, which complemented Juliana Felipe, Marcha Nacional Filipina, was created by Palma during one of their poses in Bautista, Pangasinan. On September 3, 1899, the first anniversary issue of La Independencia featured Filipinas in Spanish. American forces finally took control of the revolutionary press in late 1899. Jose Palma and his brother Rafael, who was also a staff member of the La Independencia, returned to Manila because they had nothing else to do. They worked with Juan Abad to launch another newspaper, Laong Laan. Laong Laan is the pin name of Doc Jose Rizal. Laong is the Tagalog word meaning a long time, while Laan means reserved for a purpose, in meaning kept and reserved for a purpose for a long time. But it was short-lived because Jose Palma was briefly jailed by American authorities who deemed parts of its articles to be subversive. Rafael Palma, the paper's editor when El Renacimiento also means the rebirth, was founded on September 3 in 1901, encouraged Jose Palma to write a column for publication under the pen names Esteban Estevez and Juventino respectively. Jose Palma penned the columns Cartilla Celerarias and Vida Manieli. For his poems and short stories, Palma also used the pen names Ana How and Ganhantik. These works were published in magazines including El Comercio, La Moda Filipina, La Patria, La Union, and the last one is Revista Católica. And among Palma's poems were the following. The first one is La Purificación de María in 1895, and the second one is Condiman in 1898. The third one is En la Última Pagina del Nole Metangere in 1898. And the fourth one is La Cruz de Sampaguitas in 1893. And the fourth one is Di Me Harden in 1900. And the last one is En la Hamaka in 1900. At just 27 years old, Jose Palma passed away on February 12 in 1903, leaving behind a modest collection of his poems that historian and author J.C. Distinction was used to be described the Veira. His brothers Manuel and Rafael Palma, as well as their friend and fellow celebrity poet Cecilio Apostol, released a Melancholicas in 1912 as tribute to him. The book contains his poems from 1893 to 1901. And the summary, the national anthem of the Philippines is Lupang Hinirang, and it pronounced Lupang Hinirang, and it means a chosen land. Originally known in Spanish as the Marcha Nacional Filipina, its lyrics were modified from the Spanish poem Filipinas, which Filipino soldier Jose Palma y Velasquez wrote a year later. And its melody was created by Juliana Felipe in 1898. Without lyrics, this music was first chosen as the national anthem of the First Philippine Republic in 1898. The lyrics were Filipinoized by the 1940s after being originally written in Spanish. The lyrics in Filipino were made officially in 1958, amended in 1963, and finally incorporated into law in 1998. So that will be the background of the author or the biography of Jose Palma in regards to his writings and especially the Lupang Hinirang, our national anthem in the Philippines that shows nationalism. So let's proceed now to my reflection. The national anthem in the Philippines is giving enlightenment to people on how the struggles were concretized when the war happened in the Philippines. And it signifies also patriotism and nationalism in our country. We Filipinos are eager to fight against enemies. That's why the strongest we've been doing in society has thoughtful meaning. The national anthem in the Philippines is not about also the struggles. It is also about the beauty of our lands and those natural resources. Lupang Hinirang means chosen land. In that way, the land here in the Philippines has a lot of stories or happenings way back from the past when the Philippine War occurs, and at the same time the national anthem in the Philippines makes us independent because we will do everything to fight until to survive and will happen. It will serve as a good well-being we give to our country, which is the Philippines. Since the flag is also part of our national anthem, because the Philippine flag gives meaning in every color and shape that will show the figure of being Filipinos and uplift the pride of Filipinos as well. The white triangle signifies Filipino hope for equality. The upper blue strip stands for peace, truth, and justice, while the lower red strip stands for patriotism and valor. So that will be my reflection about Lupang Hinirang by Jose Palma. So let's proceed now to my analysis. In my analysis regarding this Lupang Hinirang, I chose the impressionistic approach or reader response approach with the question, what does the text have to do with you personally and with your life, past, present, future? The text in every stanza of Lupang Hinirang gives a thoughtful meaning to every Filipino, but the whole text is about the pride of Filipino people and nationalism. Why I choose this approach? If you think about life and if you connect the behind story of that poem, it has a big impact on our lives because Lupang Hinirang can we see there the past doing when the troubles happened. The past of how our lands were beautiful and the good deeds from the past that have significance in our life. In the present, the past happened will inculcate to people in the new generations what Lupang Hinirang gives a better quality of being a blood of Filipino. To make use the past as the pathway of being a good citizenship in our country and encourage the youth as well to see the hardship how was the story of Lupang Hinirang that will make them know better as the hope of our nation until to the future and will continue along the way. After this presentation, I'm hoping that you've learned what I have discussed here in the class. And if you have something to share regarding this topic, just click the virtual hand or just comment your thoughts in the chat box. Thank you for listening. And here's my references that I use to my discussion.